Good evening and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night for March 7th, 2019. It is approximately 7:05 p.m. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All council is in attendance other than Mr. Wilson and Mr. Arasinko this evening. We're going to start our meeting with our Citizens Night meeting. Now would be your time, if anyone is signed in, to discuss any municipal item.
Sure. Thank you.
And as always, we always ask for a five-minute time limit, please. If you could keep your comments to 5 minutes, that'd be great.
I can do that. Pamela Bodziak, Assistant Director at Monroeville Public Library. Thank you. Passing out, we've got two things for you tonight: the newsletter of upcoming programs, and then the brochure of all of our statistics and programs with some awesome pictures from last month. And then I just real quick wanted to highlight some of what we've got going on. First up is our resume review, which is a new service that we've started that's already proving very popular with patrons. If anybody needs to update their resume or they want a second opinion on what they've put together, you can make an appointment with one of our instruction librarians for personalized feedback, advice on how to improve. So just call the library to schedule. We're very excited about that. Back by popular demand is our Holy Celebration, which is going to be Saturday, March 16th at 2. Come and learn about the festival of color called Holy through stories, crafts, and an end to the celebration with a color explosion. You will get colorfully messy, so please dress accordingly. That event is free, no registration required. We recently began a seed library, which I included a little pamphlet about. It allows people to browse available seeds, including flowers, herbs, and vegetables, and then check them out to take home. You don't actually have to bring them back, although people are encouraged to harvest any seeds they can and bring them back in for anyone else who might be looking for them. There's more information in the brochure. Be sure to stop by and check out some of our seeds in action. We're growing lavender and basil right now, and everyone is very excited. On Monday, March 25th at 7, Dr. Matt Monahan will be offering his audience a small window into the world of nuclear fusion. We scientists have been trying to harness nuclear fusion since the late 50s, so come learn all about the history of false starts, hoaxes, failures, and successes. There's plenty of time for questions, and the description on the website said there would also be audience participation. I don't quite know what that means in reference to a program on nuclear fusion, so the only way to find out is to come and see. And very exciting for me personally, I've been working with our head children's librarian, Hope Benson, for a special after-hours event for tweens, which is students kind of in that in-between age of 8 to 12. Our Superheroes Spectacular is going to be Friday, March 29th at 5:30, so we invite all of our young area superheroes to come face our super challenges, find the villain, save the world, just sort of an average evening at the library. That also has no registration and is free. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam.
I would like to say I'm
sure.
bringing my grandkids to the children's story time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's a
Fantastic.
really fantastic program.
Oh, thank you.
I think all the kids and even the parents have a nice time, and the kids all interact, and it's really nice. They do a super job.
Thank you very much. I'll let our children's librarian know.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
and her grandkids enjoy it too.
Yeah.
As well.
As
Did I
much
say
as,
that out
as
loud,
much
Mrs.
as
Kennedy?
Gigi does. Yes.
That's what we strive
Did I
for.
say
Thank
that?
you.
I said
Thank
that out
you.
loud.
Yes.
I did, sorry.
Great job. I'll leave the floor open for anyone who'd like to address council on any municipal item. You can just sign in and state your name for the record, and that you are a Monroeville resident.
My name is John Patterson, over here. Okay.
Thanks.
My name is John Patterson. I live at 1467 Madden Drive. I had some questions about the MS4 fee, and I regret that I was not able to be here when the major meeting took place in the early fall or late summer. Wasn't able to be here, but I've read about it in the newspaper, I've learned a little bit about it, read the ordinance about 2 months ago. I didn't have a chance to reread it tonight, but I have a few questions for you. Has this ordinance been passed primarily because the Department of Environmental Protection has basically said you have to do it?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay. So it really is a state mandate?
Federal.
Federal? Okay, so it starts at the federal. And does it go through the state, or is it just directly from the federal government to you folks?
Mr.
Through the
Hugus?
state. Yeah.
Federal to the state.
Federal to the
us.
state. In terms of the description, impervious surfaces, I was a little confused in the ordinance and in some of the newspaper articles about why impervious surfaces were being assessed a user fee. I think, or at least what I understand, is that the fee is assessed because impervious surfaces eventually shed or cause things to flow
Runoff.
into the sewer system.
That's what collects water.
Okay,
So the impervious surface would be the roof or the driveway or any
Okay.
accessory structure on a property,
oh,
like a
roof,
shed.
roof also?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Just referring to cement or asphalt here, what if a piece of property has a lot of impervious surface, or maybe not a lot, maybe a small amount, but none of it does, cause an overflow of water into the sewer
It
system?
all does. It all eventually ends up, some of it gets absorbed by yards and stuff,
Okay,
but eventually it runs off.
so it's actually not just the impervious system
That's-
or pavement, but the ordinance is assuming that whether it's cement,
Well, cement can't take
causing-
water in.
right.
It has to run off of the
Right.
cement.
Well, yeah, it has to run off, but what if it just simply goes
There's
into
a fee for even
surrounding?
unoccupied property, but it's much, much smaller
Okay,
for vacant property.
but what if it just runs off
Well,
into adjacent property,
I think I
which is
understand.
grass or?
Right, I think I understand your question,
Yeah.
but it's not so much that they're not looking at the impact of the individual properties, they're looking at the global impact of all the properties, and that was the most equitable way of dividing up the fees, was to
Right.
go by the impervious surface.
Right.
So every residential property gets charged the same amount, whether you have a large driveway or a small driveway.
Right.
And then that, which is a one ERU, that's one unit, then that is overlaid over top commercial properties, and that's how that fee is then calculated for those properties.
So if the cement or asphalt section of the property actually does not flow into a sewer, or doesn't cause water or whatever substance it is on it that's liquid to flow into a sewer, it still is to be assessed?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. I'll give you a little opinion here. I think it's more of a tax. I know that you want to avoid that like the plague, but when I look at, say, one side of my street where everybody's driveway does point towards the street and their roofs are going to flow that way and it's all going into the sewer system on the street, and my side doesn't, I understand that I, as a good neighbor, am going to help to pay for all of that. And yet, to me, that's more of a tax than a user fee, because I'm not really using it anywhere near as much as my neighbor. So if it's an equity situation, it would just seem to me to be a tax.
The reason why it's not a tax is because everybody pays it. The churches pay it, the fire companies pay it,
Right.
Not-
I understand, and
nonprofits,
if you made it a
hospitals.
tax, they wouldn't pay it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we would have to pay it.
And the federal government, along with the state, said, you may implement a fee to help pay for these things that we expect you to do, but it has to be fair, and it has to be everybody.
I did read in the newspaper recently that one of the nonprofit entities, might be an educational institution, is going to fight it based on their reading of the law that says you cannot assess a nonprofit institution anything even resembling a tax. Now, that's my interpretation, but I'm asking about that.
We'll see where that goes.
Okay, all right, okay. As an aside, is there anything you can call it other than MS4? That sounds very Orwellian or
Well,
something.
that's the way it's known nationwide.
Okay, all right. So this is really a dictate of the federal government, is basically.
Every
Yes.
community
Well,
in the
what
Commonwealth
happened
is going to
in
be faced
short
with this.
is the state and federal, mainly the federal government, got tired of bailing out communities who did nothing to improve their stormwater management, let alone all the after sediment, which is another big project they added on to us. They don't want it going down to the rivers. So they are charging with each community with taking care of it yourself. So there's a lot of stuff, of work and projects involved in MS4, not just stormwater pipes, you know. And sediment control is probably even larger than the rest of it, because all that sediment that comes out of the mouth of those pipes, we have to control it. We have to do something with it now.
Just one final question on it. What is the building that is going to be built in conjunction with the ordinance?
It's to house the new
Equipment.
equipment.
Okay.
And the back part of it would be fenced into, so they can order,
Near the current sewage or sewer authority?
no, it'd be
Building.
not at the Public Works garage.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. If anyone would like to address council, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Council, we had some questions about our animal shelter, animal control, and Mr. Little and I've asked our animal control officer, Mike Strom, to come out and just give a quick update of how our shelter operates, and if maybe clarify some things. So, Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Awesome, thank you. I wanted to start out, I wanted to thank council and management, the manager, Mr. Little, and also the superintendent for giving us some latitude. And I know council isn't involved in the day-to-day things that go on at the shelter, but that latitude is what, and that trust in me is what has allowed us to change the way that we deal with the animals here in Monroeville, and has made it a better place. And the reason I'm here tonight is because we've had some people passing misinformation, and from that misinformation, there's been some emails sent to some of the council members, to the mayor, and from what I understand, there's some other emails and some other things going on. There were some right-to-knows about information about how we handle animals. And it was concerning to myself and also to Sue, who's one of the volunteers at the shelter, and she's been a volunteer at the shelter for a long time, and she's seen the changes that we've made at the shelter to make things better and to deal with the animals that we have here in Monroeville in a better and more humane way. So I wanted to come in and just quickly go over the policy, because with dogs, there's a lot of dog law, and there's volumes and volumes of ways that we're required to deal with dogs, documentation and other things, and there's a lot of laws that say how somebody can deal with a cat, or not a cat, but a dog. But a cat, there's not. The cat laws are very, very, there's few laws, and they've left it to a lot of people, and the advocates of those things are the ones that are the caretakers for those animals. And I want to make it clear that we're advocates for all those animals. And we have a policy that I think, after doing a lot of research and being involved for a long time, that is a good policy, and it's also a responsible policy. And the big thing about that is I want there to be transparency, because with transparency, then there's accountability. And that's what I'm afraid of at the point that we're at now, is that our reputation is going to be damaged by these people because they feel like we're not being transparent. But we're not on social media passing out our policy or answering questions, because that's not my place as an officer to do that. So in a public forum tonight, that's what I'd like to just real quickly go over our policy on the cats, because feral cats and cats in general are really one of the biggest problems with the shelter, because there isn't a lot of law, and there's a lot of different sides to the way that people deal with it. So I wanted to make it clear, there was rumors that we strangle cats. There was rumors that we shoot cats. There was rumors that that we were trying to eliminate all the feral cats from Monroeville, and that's not our goal at all. With the policy that we have is basically, of course, anyone that a domesticated cat, if we get those cats or we get them through issues with move-outs and apartments, all those things, we bring them to the shelter and we would spay or neuter them, all of them. They all get leukemia and AIDS tested, and then they get vaccinated, and then we put them up for adoption. Feral cats, on the other hand, is a bigger issue for us because it's harder to place feral cats. So the policy that I've come up with, and I'm asking if there's anybody out there that has an issue with it, because I have an open door. The policy that we have in place now is we do it on occasion. People trap for nuisance wildlife and they catch a cat, or people find the cats in their neighborhood to be a nuisance and they're destroying property and those kind of things. If we get cats that we simply get by accident, we treat them the same as the ones that we catch that are a nuisance. All of them get treated, and we're looking for homes for all of them. It's a really big job, and we spend a lot of time at the shelter and a lot of money spaying and neutering, testing, and vaccinating those animals before we re-release them. We do not release those cats without a caretaker. So that's the biggest thing that a lot of other feral cat advocates, I don't know that there is particular about those caretakers. The reason why we're specific about caretakers is because when we release those cats, if there is a caretaker and there's an issue with neighbors, we have somebody to come back with so we can remanage that situation and make sure that we don't end up with cats that are a nuisance. If they're not a nuisance and we don't have a complaint about them and they are existing in these people's communities or colonies, then we help them. We pass food to people, we spay and neuter for them, we try and help the people that are trying to manage those communities. And in the event that we have a situation where we have complaints and a lot of neighbor complaints, then we relocate those animals. So last year, we actually euthanized 3 cats that were catch trapped at the, within the workings that we do that didn't fit they were either leukemia or AIDS positive, which unfortunately, I'm not an advocate for releasing those animals again, because then the colonies they pass that from animal to animal, and then all the animals have that leukemia or AIDS, that leukemia, all those things shorten the lives, they kill them, and they pass it on. So we don't want that situation. And then the other reason would be for if we would get a cat that was in poor health. So we have to make decisions. We received some cats also that were hit by a car, those kind of things, injured by another animal, and we have relationships with AVETs, and we have relationships with Pittsburgh East Animal Hospital, who's our regular vet at the shelter, and we bring the animals there, and if they would be a choice for us to euthanize the animal, then one of those 2 places does it humanely. So we don't shoot any cats. We certainly don't strangle any kittens. We have a good policy in place. It's a responsible way to do it. And I reach out to anyone that's a cat advocate, that manages colonies, that has resources for us to fill, like places that we can take those feral cats, that we can actually put them in an environment, a farm or a rural area that they can use them, that they end up being actually a good thing for them, not a problem. And I hope that all those people, they're welcome to have my number. If they call here to the municipal building, they call the shelter, we pass my number out to everybody. I get phone calls, all day and night long. So I'm not just the animal control officer. I'm a volunteer and I'm an advocate for those animals, and that's what we want to be as a municipality, and that's what we are. I just want to make sure that everybody else out there knows that that's what we do. So if anybody has any questions for me or,
So Mike, you have the ability to scan animals for chips, right?
We do.
So you can do that. So that's one of the things you go through, and you determine whenever you do get an animal that you can scan them for. You have that capability of scanning them for
Yes.
if they're
So,
chipped or not.
Dog or cat, they all would get scanned for a chip first. And then if they're an owned animal, then we would find the owner. And if they're an unowned animal, then we try and find the owner. I keep a list of animals that are, we just keep a list, like in my phone messages, of animals that are lost or people are looking for. And if we match the animals up, then we would pass them back to the owners. If in the event that we don't find an owner, then they go to the Spay and Neuter Clinic in Penn Hills, is one of our people that spay and neuters feral cats for us. We take them right in the trap they came in. They do them the same day, and they're available to put back out the next day. Usually we hold them for a day. Now, there have been occasions when cats were kind of in between being a feral and being a cat that's a domesticated cat, And then we keep those at the shelter a lot of times, especially kittens. We keep them and then we rehabilitate them and then make them a cat that's adoptable. So
And then if
it's a
somebody does want
process.
to adopt an animal from the shelter, what's the best way for them to see what animals are over there?
Facebook, we're on Facebook. It's Monroeville Animal Shelter on Facebook, and then on Pet Finder. So all the animals that are available at the shelter are on one of those two pages. Also, they can call the shelter at any time. It's 412-856-3355, and either myself or Sue will return a call for you, and we'll see if we can match you up with an animal that we have at the shelter, or sometimes with an animal from one of the other people that we're partnered with, that we try to help place all these animals that need homes.
Great. Council, does anyone have any other questions for
I think,
Mr. Strong?
I think you guys are doing a great job.
So do
I mean, it's come a long way in my experience with the shelter, and
Well, I also think you're doing a great job, and I think I mentioned at Christmas time how people can actually donate. Like, my daughter bought right from Amazon and had it sent right to the shelter.
Yes.
You know, so that's always, it was a great thing to do, and people can do that. You know,
Yes.
you can order from Chewy.com and have it sent to the shelter. So, you know, there's ways to also, the public can help you.
Yes. And,
Because we
and,
appreciate what you guys do.
and the other way to donate is, we're a 501c3. The municipality is also a nonprofit, but we have a fund. It's through the Monroeville Foundation, and that's a 501c3. That fund is just an animal care fund. So there's no administrative costs. There's no, nobody's salary gets paid out of that. There's not gas for the truck. There's no wildlife things that get paid out. It's simply for dogs and cats or other domesticated animals, sometimes pigs and chickens and lizards. You never know what we're going to get. But it's strictly for that purpose, and all that money goes to it. So last year, we spent over $17,000 out of that fund on animal care. So we do a lot of spay and neutering. We do a lot of vaccinating, and we do a lot of help with that program.
Mike, tell them about the fundraisers you do, too, as you and I were talking about the other day.
Yeah, we have numerous fundraisers, too, for the shelter. And one of the other questions we get, and Tim Little, the manager, we've talked about, is people are confused for why we collect money for the shelter, because they feel as if the shelter should be funded by Monroeville. But actually, in Monroeville here, we've tried to do it a little different way, where the municipality here has allowed us all this latitude to do what we do, but the cost is high. And that was one of the things that was considered years ago. So they pick up the gas and the electric and the water and my pay and the truck that we drive and a lot of the wildlife work we do and the work we do with the ordinance department for rats and all those other animals that are out there. But the shelter fundraises for money. So we do a car cruise, which is, I think it's the 7th of July this year. I don't have much. I should have brought all my
It's always a good
fundraisers.
car cruise, too.
Yeah, for Easter, we're at A&L Motors. We're taking pictures with people's dogs and even their kids with the Easter Bunny. So there's a $10 charge to get your picture, and then you can also get the electronic picture with it. That's coming up here soon. There's a Jupiter Walk. We're there, so we sell items at some of these other dog events. And then we have also a Penn Center event coming up, and that will be in May. It's May 7th, and that'll be at Penn Center during the day for all the tenants that they have there. It's a fundraiser, and also kind of the same thing. We get to sell some items that can profit for the shelter and things. So we have quite a few.
We'll have all those on the website and your Facebook page,
Yeah,
on the
definitely.
animal. We'll have all that, so if anybody's interested in attending those events, so.
Well, and also, when my grandfather passed away, we had donations made to the foundation for the monies instead of flowers.
Yes.
To go to the shelter.
Yeah, and
So
they are tax
that was
deductible
also
also.
another nice way to be able to give, and that was money, like you said, that was used for any animal care.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
just ideas for people out there that maybe are looking to do something to help.
absolutely. Thank you.
Mike, thanks for coming out.
thanks, Mike.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Okay.
All right, council, we're going to move over to our agenda-setting meeting. We have an executive session announcement. The council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons prior to tonight's Citizens Night, beginning at 6:15 p.m. until 7 p.m. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the March 12th, 2019 council meeting. Council, you have the minutes of Citizens Night for February 7th, 2019, the council work session of February 7th, 2019, and the regular council meeting of February 12th, 2019, to be considered to be voted on Tuesday. Any additions, corrections, comments on those minutes? Seeing none, Tax collections, council, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Seeing none. List of bills and budget transfers. Mr. Duncan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Mr. Johns?
No, sir.
Mr. Harvey?
Couple. I
Go ahead.
didn't have time to
Fine.
call Mr. Little. On page 36, the MS consultant bills, they should all come out of the MS4 budget, should they not?
That is correct.
Okay, but they, just because they showed here doesn't mean they're coming out of the general fund.
No, they're coming out of the MS4 fund.
Okay. And then, the only other thing was on page 49, which was the advertisement for MS4, and that would come out of the fund.
That is correct.
That is it.
Mr. Poach?
No, sir. No questions.
Mrs. Gatos?
Yes, on page 6, it's the salt purchases, and they all say 1,000 ton of salt, but the price
He wasn't
goes
here last
anywhere
meeting.
from...
Yes, you were, that's the same on the PO. That's the way the Munis system is set up, and it's a vagary of the Munis system, that one PO show, each of those
Oh.
amounts of tonnage is different. They just
Okay.
have one on there for 1,000.
Yeah, because,
That's a legitimate question.
1,051, that's a big
Yeah.
difference for the same amount.
That's the same question.
Yeah, okay, all right, I just needed to make sure of that.
Anything
Then I'm
else?
good, thank you.
Council payroll report, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
And we're going to move over to our new business. We have Hutton Street 17 LLC, Zips Car Wash. Mr. Little, please.
Yeah, the applicant is requesting a site plan approval to construct a car wash and associated site amenities. The property is located at the intersection of Plaza Drive and William Penn Highway, Route 22, and known as parcel ID 1244L72 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. The Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
And we also have the second item of new business, which is the same project for conditional use. Mr. Little, let's read that one.
Yes, applicant requests a conditional use approval pursuant to Section 401 of the Monroeville zoning ordinance, number 1443, as amended, to construct a car wash. Property is located at the intersection of Plaza Drive and William Penn Highway, Route 22, and known as parcel ID 1244L72 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions. Paul, this is a public hearing, right? Conditional use?
It's conditional use, is it?
Yep, should be.
Okay, it was omitted, and I'll take responsibility for that. Parenthetically, we usually have a public hearing on there to conduct a public hearing for conditional uses, and that should be on the agenda. So this would be a public hearing.
So is the applicant here? Why don't you come forward?
We advertised that.
Are you going to speak, sir?
Yeah, imagine we did, yeah.
Okay.
If you are, you need to
Yes.
come up.
Oh, okay.
It was advertised.
Gonna
as a
speak.
hearing.
Okay, we're good. We're good, as long as we are.
Yeah, and if anyone, gentlemen, if you could just state your name, both your names for the record.
Mark Zimmerman.
Campbell Lewis.
Very good. And if there's anyone that is going to, we're going to have a conditional use hearing at this moment. They'll go through the whole project. But if there's anyone that is going to speak in addition to these two gentlemen or have any questions, would you please rise? And I'll be swearing you in, so please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. So why don't you just start from the top and go through the project?
Okay. Hi, my name is Mark Zimmerman with Morris Knowles and Associates. Here today to present to you the car wash at the southwest corner of the William Penn Highway and Plaza Drive. The access to the site will be a full access off of Plaza Drive. Okay, there it is. Sorry, let me get this. Okay. The full access off of Plaza Drive.
You just orient us real quick about the main streets or where.
Sure, sorry. William Penn Highway is over here, Plaza Drive. You come in this way, Wendy's sits over here. It'll be right across the street from Wendy's on Plaza Drive. Packatans up on the hill.
Yeah, we're right at the border of Murraysville and Monroeville, the border there.
Yes, the border line is actually where my red pen sits. So the building will be located a little bit in Murraysville, but mostly in Monroeville.
Does Murraysville know that?
Yes, yeah, we've been through, or we're going through
That's
that,
Miracle
them
Drive's
as well.
in Murraysville.
What's that?
The street behind it, Miracle Drive's in Murraysville.
Yes, yes.
Continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. Full access off of Plaza Drive, where the patrons will come in to 2 kiosks, where they will pay. There will be an attendant there of the car wash full-time. Once they pay, they will go through the car wash and exit out and wrap around to have the availability to park and have a vacuum service that they can use, free of charge with the car wash. And then they will then exit back out on the Plaza Drive. We have been through comments through Murraysville for stormwater comments. I believe we've had all those addressed. Traffic comments. I'm sorry.
Is stormwater coming back to Monroeville, though? You said Murraysville?
No, that actually discharges into
So it's going to be Murraysville? Okay.
into Murraysville, yes. The actual stormwater system, though, is in Monroeville, but the discharge point will be down into the creek that runs behind
Okay.
it in Murraysville. We've also worked through some staff comments. Fire comments are still outstanding, but I believe we can work through those.
What's the hours of operation?
8 to 8, if I'm correct.
Right, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Every day?
Yep.
Back to the fire comments, there was the talk of a standpipe being added to make sure, and also room for a fire truck to be able to turn around, or has any of that been resolved?
No, but we need to go through, and what we'll do is we'll show the fire truck coming in and wrapping around this way and coming out.
Okay.
We believe that we can make that work.
The typical problem is the width of your entrance and exit.
Oh, over here. And
They need room to turn and.
right, and we'll be able to widen that. We have plenty of room to make that wide and use some paint striping and such to funnel cars,
Yeah.
but allow them to.
But have it funneled instead of 90 degrees.
Right. Yes. Yep. Ease of access, most certainly.
Paul, what about the standpipe that you had talked about?
I've been in conversations with Mark, and
I might say that.
pretty sure they're going to end up extending the water line across Plaza Drive and putting in a fire hydrant.
Okay.
So we're still working that out, but I believe that we can come to a resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this in the plaza where the Bella Luna and
Yes.
Yes,
At the
Murraysville,
exit.
yeah,
Up below by Wendy's.
bought by Wendy's?
Yeah.
Back where the window place is.
before,
Yeah.
There's a,
In the plaza itself?
before it.
Yeah.
In front of the self-storage.
okay, I know where, yeah, I understand.
And there's not a whole lot that can burn at a car wash anyhow.
No,
There's definitely water
no, it's,
there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not very common.
Turn on the car wash.
Where the driveway used to be?
Right.
Drive-in?
But yes, I guess we're available to answer any comments
Yes,
you
so
may
yeah.
have. That's presentation.
Okay, very good. Paul, is there any concerns from your end? There were some conditions that the Planning Commission recommended.
The conditions were that they get approval through Murraysville as well as Monroeville, and really the only outstanding remaining comments are the fire official, which I believe we can work through.
Very good. Council, any questions?
No,
No
there's-
further-
Well, one small question. Frequently, that particular piece of property has always had dispute exactly where the county and property lines are. And you guys are both nodding your heads, so apparently you've run into this before, so what is it that you found to be able to settle it?
There's been basically a set of historical plans that we've gone through, and using our surveyor is comfortable with the Murraysville, Monroeville line, as we have shown here. He was comfortable enough to stamp the Alta survey. So we went through and had a title report and all kinds of things done, legal things done to make sure that, they were comfortable with the boundary line for the.
We actually had to run a title report on each adjacent property for this property. That's what we had to do. That's how we came up with this.
So the Pella Window building in the back is in Murraysville, and the next house that's on further down is also Murraysville, right?
Correct.
Is that what you found?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, is Zips a chain? Is this a?
Yes, it's actually the third largest car wash company in America, which is pretty interesting. But
Yeah, they're mostly down south right now, but they're looking to come up north.
right,
Okay.
yeah, most of their businesses in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri. You know, that
Do you have
area.
any renderings of what the building will look like?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
So they want
Sorry.
to come up where they want to come up where the salt is now.
Yeah.
Actually have to work for a living.
He's gonna need to turn it, I'll bring it up.
Oh, sorry.
Just flip it around.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You're welcome.
So this is one that pulls your car through?
Yes, it will
Right.
be on a conveyor system.
Yeah.
And there will be memberships available that you can pay monthly fee and just have a membership available for unlimited car washes, or you can pay per wash as you go through with cash or card.
Right.
Very good. Council, any further questions?
No, sir.
All right, gentlemen, we will consider this on Tuesday, at our Tuesday meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Moving over to our motions, council. We have 3 this evening. Mr. Little.
Okay, the first one is a motion we usually do each year, a motion to advertise the rescheduling of the April Citizens Night and Council Work Session from Thursday, April 4th to Tuesday, April 2nd. And this is because council, not all of council, but most of council attends the Allegheny League of Municipalities conference in Seven Springs, so we have to move that. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Okay, the second motion is a motion to void the current 2017 police civil service eligibility list. We have a new civil service eligibility list for police candidates, and you cannot have 2 eligibility lists occurring at the same time. So we should, council should on Tuesday evening void this one, and they will be adopting a new one. Is that going to be, Bob, was that going to be on Tuesday, or are we going to have that for April? We'll have that for April, I think.
I believe they're going to meet on Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, they're going to meet on.
They're
you're
going to meet
correct.
the day after our
Right.
meeting.
Right, okay, and that'll be for April. Any
But we still
questions?
have to void this list.
Right, we have to void this on Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a motion to lease office space, 170 square feet, in the municipal building from March 1st, 2019 through January 2nd, 2021 to Congressman Michael Doyle in his office for $150 a month. That is the fee that we charged Congressman Murphy when he utilized that office. They will be there once a week on Wednesday. So if council approves that motion, then I have a lease that's a federal government lease that I will sign and give back to them. Any questions on that? I think the mayor has mentioned that to council.
Yeah, just to clarify, I know Mr. Harvey ran into the congressman at one of the legislative events, and the congressman wanted to have a presence here in Monroeville. Now with the redistricting, he is of the municipality, and so we got in touch, him and I, and we found a spot for him here in our municipal building, so that's good for the residents. And they're going to have, he'll have a staff member here on a regular basis. So, go on, Mr. Little.
Okay, resolutions, I believe are next. Okay, yeah, okay.
That's the last motion.
Motion, yeah.
Resolutions, please, sir.
Okay, the first one is a resolution adopting the Sandy Hill Development Sewage Planning Module. And the second resolution will be a resolution authorizing the distribution of grant funds for the Memorial Day Parade in the amount of $5,000, which we do annually for that parade. The third resolution is a resolution authorizing the distribution of grant funds for the Monroeville Independence festivities in the amount of $12,000, which we do annually. The fourth one is a resolution authorizing the advertising for bids for the 2019 road resurfacing program for the attached list of roadways throughout Monroeville. Mr. Hugus, would you want to comment on anything about that?
It's a wonderful time of the year. In your packet is the list of roads, which always is
What is that in the yellow?
Pink, I think.
pink, Stephen,
Oh, pink.
pink.
Any of my
There's-
roads in there?
There was,
I doubt it.
There was $1 million allocated for the road resurfacing program this year, which again puts us behind the curve of what we should be doing each year. So we went through the process we normally go through to establish the roads. Again, it's a combination of methodologies that's being used, the traditional milling and paving, seal coating, crack sealing, and fog sealing. We're still in the preservation mode of the roads, because as I said last year, we're about 50 miles behind schedule because of the lack of paving over the last decade. There was additional monies put into it last year, but that sure didn't put us any further ahead than what we should be. So in your packet is the list of recommendations for this year.
Any of my roads in it?
Any questions, council?
Nope.
No, sir.
Mr. Little?
Okay, the
Just
next
one more
one.
thing, so if you approve this Tuesday, I'll have the bids in front of you in May, council meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Little?
Okay, the next one, I'm going to have Mr. Estock. He's coming up here for the sixth one. Paul, you want to come up here for maybe you can talk about this is a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for funds with the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County in the amount of $75,000 for the Monroeville Evergreen Park project. We talked about this I think it was last summer, Paul.
Yeah, last year we did submit it for 2018, but unfortunately we still have a CITF grant in the hopper, which is actually the courts up at the community park. I'm happy to say that the court should be done here in May. We have lined up the fencing company to come in, and we also are putting out to bid the color coding. So the weather has to break for the color coding, but the fencing, as soon as the weather does break here, we're going to have them start doing the fencing. So those both items are lined up. We have the fencing already priced out, and again, the bid has to go out for the color coding. There's not too many color coding companies out there, but we still have to put the bid out. We are looking at, they are a co-star, the one that we are working with, and speaking with Mr. Sedlak, we think maybe I put a call in CITF Allegheny County to see if I can just use that price under co-star. I'm waiting to hear back from them. Again, with the help of Paul and the paving crew, we did get all paved up there. It's ready to go. It looks great. As soon as we get some color on it, I think people will be happy. And one of the things that we are going to do this year, we're going to change some things up there. We're going to put tennis courts, and something that's very popular up here is pickleball. It's pretty popular here. So we're going to add some additional pickleball courts up there along with the basketball court. So that will be done. And what I'm saying to you is the reason I don't think we got approved last year for the grant, I think our big thing is because we had this one in the hopper. So I hope this year I redid the whole thing and did make some changes. I'm hoping we will get the grant this year for the Evergreen Playground. It was submitted with a playground firm that we dealt with last year. Kevin Hines is his name, so we dealt with him and we put it out there, and we'll see what happens. So.
Good job, Paul. Get the grants.
Okay, number six. Okay, six is a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for funds with the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the Valley Park Bridge project. And Paul's going to talk a little bit about this, but if council remembers, we met with an architect last year, and that her name was Martha Freck, and she is with Streamline Engineering, and this is part of the grant that paid, and Paul's going to talk about the architectural rendering that Ms. Freck did.
And she's a hydrologist. That was
Okay,
one of the
she's
things
a
that we
yeah.
talked about because of it being in a floodplain, or a potential floodplain. So that was one of the concerns, where that crosses over Abers Creek.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Council has a packet, what Paul is going to go through briefly, and there's three different proposals for three different types of bridges. Now, and I can let Paul talk more briefly about those, and there's also some pictures of some different types of bridge spans. And there is a kind of a, I don't call it a pencil sketch, but there is a sketch that Joe's going to put up on the screen so everybody can see what it may look like. Paul, I'll leave it up to you from here.
I'll just follow real quick on this Martha Freck one. Again, we did this back in May. You approved us to do it. We met with her in September. With the help of Westmoreland County, they split the cost with us for that, and that was all taken care of. We met with them in September, myself, Tim, and Jeff Richards, and this actually is the plan that come out of it. They dealt with FEMA, looking at the floodplain elevations, looking at all that stuff like that. Then, maybe a month ago, we had a meeting with Paul, myself, and Tim, and Jamie, just to kind of take a look at what she did give to us to see if it was feasible in the current location that she suggested. The guys felt like, it is something that is feasible and it can be done. So I think there's an opportunity. So if you take a look just real quick, I have this map, and Paul, you have a Valley Park, my character coloring sketch that I did, which, so you have the Valley Park here this is the park here. If you want to go a little bit more.
Zoom in a little
Go ahead.
bit.
Zoom in, Joe.
Go ahead, Joe. Put it into that one first. And basically what you're looking at here, and you guys see on the screen, is this is actually where the skate park is right here, right now. And based on her recommendations, the bridge would come right off that skate park. There's a pad there, and the idea would be to come across there. There'd be two sections. It's I'll call a 60-foot section and a 91-foot section that would come across there. There would be no pillars actually in the water. They would be only on both sides of the banks. So that was just the idea, and just to give you an idea, this is what the bridge would look like. The bridge here is showing you, and you guys have in your packet, it kind of gives you a visual, that color page I gave you.
Yeah, which one is it?
It's the top ones, the top 6 ones. It's kind of one of those renderings.
Okay.
I would say it's more like the Link one, L-I-K-N, the third one over. It's more like that one that they're showing us. If you look at that, that's more of a square. That's the one they're showing us. If you look, I apologize, I went the wrong way, in front of that, there's an estimated cost there. So that's why I want you guys to see. There's an estimated cost of the bridge. So for the 91-foot, you can see the estimate there, and then you can also see that for a 60-foot, if you add that up, that's a pretty substantial amount of money. So.
And talk about the grant a little bit, Paul, about.
Yeah, so in order for us to move forward with DCNR, one of the things that we need to do is we need to come up with an estimated cost of what it would take to do this project. One of the things that we found is, one of the things that we're working hard with is trying to get trails down to the existing trail that's already down there through Monroeville. Also, two Allegheny counties kind of jumped on board, and they are now looking at it from, they're doing a feasibility study to go from Trafford around the bend behind where McDane's is and head all the way down through Pitcairn, Turtle Creek, and end up down Braddock, down where the, I apologize, the bridge is right before you go, just past where that big mill is at.
Floodgate.
There's a bridge that goes across it that connects it with the greater Allegheny. So that's going on right now, so it's pretty hot and heavy.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. The county is very much behind this and pushing this as far as, they really want to connect the Westmoreland Heritage Trail to the Great Allegheny Passage, and also the Westmoreland Heritage folks, they're really interested in making this connection as well.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things you got to look at is, if you ever got the chance to walk in Trafford, we have a location for restrooms and stuff like that, and in Murraysville, there's a location. There's nothing kind of in between. The parking lot that we put in, any given Saturday and Sunday, it's overcrowded. There's not enough parking there. So we're seeing the value of this to take a look at least take a look at this. Not saying that we can do it, but to definitely take a look at the cost and see if we can do this or not, and definitely through grants. That's the key here, is to try and really do some grants, and we've find some other avenues. Westmoreland County is heavy on this, and they're really excited about it. Met with DCNR by a gentleman by the name of Adam from DCNR. Again, they feel that this is a nice project that we can potentially do. I don't know what the cost of it is, and that's the reason I'm before you, to see if we can somehow get this approved, which is this Rich Rosso on the back here, for $2,500. And that was the reasoning for me to come here. And again, I apologize for my character in this, but if you open this up, the first one kind of shows you what the park looked like. Currently, the second would be kind of a small little rendering. Obviously, that's the water. You can see I have Abers Creek down the bottom. Just a quick little rendering of see what it's like. So, and there's, again, what we would really need to take a look at too is the floodplain the way it is. It's tough to add things. We have to take things out. So the skate
Put that
park
on
will
the
go
eye of the
away.
sky so the public can see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, Joe.
Hey, Joe, zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Now you're
Okay,
on
what
the
this is Monroeville side. This is where the skate park is right now. And under the grant, we have to show what that side of Monroeville is going to look like. They don't want to be giving us a grant for $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 for this bridge, and the Monroeville side is going to, look bad. So they want a rendering, and what Paul is talking about, the architect, Russo, I believe, and they designed our community park. He got a price from them, which is $2,500. And we also talked to our engineer, MS, and they said they couldn't do it for that amount of money. So this $2,500 seems like a fair price for this rendering that would be submitted, with the grant.
With the written grant, right?
Correct.
And who writes the grants?
I am.
You do?
Paul's
Okay.
writing this grant.
Okay.
And he and I sit down and review it. Now, as you can see, the proposals, keep in mind, this is just for the material for the bridge. For instance, the one is $135,000 and one is $85,000. That's not counting construction. So now, if we move ahead with this $2,500, which is what Paul was saying is, getting council's blessing to move ahead with this, then we'll do that. Then when it comes time to apply for the grant, what Paul is going to do because we'll have a matching grant.
50%.
He is going 50%, and he's going to go ahead and write other grants, and I'll review them for the matching part of ours. Now, it may come down, we may have to spend $150,000 to have this bridge built 2 years from now, or whatever the case might be. But in the same token also, we may get additional money, grant money, where we don't have to pay anything, or virtually anything, I should say. So that's basically the plan, to have this bridge come over Turtle Creek and connect the Westmoreland Heritage Trail with Valley Park.
We have to get started.
Yeah.
This is basically, let's get.
Yeah,
this-
so
let's-
exactly.
let's
I've already been
start
doing
the-
some legwork, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to try and submit this for April 12th. I apologize, April 12th.
Yeah, because we've already done the legwork, and we've already put the money out to actually
Yeah.
have the hydrology study. Westmoreland Heritage Trail folks, they gave us money for that as well. So really, on Tuesday, all the, for council to consider is the $2,500, just to take the next step.
yeah.
It doesn't guarantee
Right.
that we're going to do it, or we have to do
Yeah.
it.
That's
But,
all we're looking for.
it's just to take the next step to see if it's a
And they're
possibility,
gonna-
and then we can get the grant.
When it's all
moving
said and done,
forward.
he's going to provide us with cost to do this stuff, like add the restroom, add the
Exactly.
pavilion. But it has nothing to do with the cost to, like I said, who does the work, because we're going to need some engineering work for the bridge and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work
Yeah.
that needs to be done.
And
This
quick
is just a
question.
conceptual.
Yeah, quick question, Paul, too. Also, on the rendering that you had back up there before that you did a nice job.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, yeah,
It's
they
okay.
got you
Thanks,
good, yeah.
appreciate it.
it's a-
Can we just submit your drawing and
Yeah,
not pay the
yours.
$2,500?
cost with it,
Okay.
you know.
Well, that's what I thought.
Well, yes, we were discussing, we were very clear which was the water. It's a- The pavilion, serious note,
Put
it is the
those
pavilion
pictures in there.
piece of it, yeah, is something though is that intended to be part of that grant, or is that what we'll?
That's part of the grant, yeah.
Okay, so
Everything, we're gonna get a total
funding for it.
cost for everything that's
great.
here, yeah. And it's, the
Oh, wow, what a
restrooms
great-
and, the
that'd be a great
restrooms, we
opportunity.
talked about vaults, and maybe we couldn't do vaults because it does flood.
Does
We wanted to
flood,
go
right, we
down
don't-
there.
right.
We have to take a look at different things, and talking to Paul and stuff like that. So there's some things that we need to look at. We might not be able to add some of these things because it might create a problem.
Yeah, and- Go ahead.
Sorry, along the right side here, if you see there's an existing guardrail, that's actually a guardrail.
Right.
So it's something like maybe if we can eliminate that, and put some type of curbing or something, we might be able to, eliminate that to allow us to put something else in. Because right now, it's just a stop gate.
Right,
That's all it
right.
is.
And on that side of it too, the red.
Yep.
As a frequent user of the trail, to do that, it'd be great, because you're right, there aren't facilities until Murraysville from that, and a substantial way down to Murraysville unless you cross 22 and.
If you
the
visually
plaza.
come there, you can
There's
see what a
trees.
beautiful view it is to come across
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Just
There's
to
trees.
be able to come across would be nice. It's
It
a
is,
great
but
location for it, if we can get it done.
Yeah.
It has been
It
done,
is a good
because it
location.
expanded, yeah, it is great. And then also, in the event of Turnpike expansion, that'll still remain operational
Yeah.
as well.
Now, the turnpike that's going on, we understand they're widening the bridge going underneath,
Yeah, so that'll work as well.
going to the one going underneath right by Avers Creek, and then they're doing some work further down. But I don't know how, it's gonna affect the trail down further down, but I'm not sure how. But
Yeah,
it won't
the
really
thought, I
affect
think the
us.
thought, the early thought now is they're obviously going to keep the Avers Creek tunnel, so to speak, And then currently, you cross over, if you're coming from where this bridge is, if you're going back towards Trafford, you cross a bridge, and then you go through another tunnel.
Yeah.
But then there's a third tunnel a little further down. I don't know if that's an old railroad or that one. I think they're going to combine those two. So I believe what they're going to do is you'll cross the bridge, and then instead of going through the tunnel you currently do, you're going to run along the turnpike a little bit, and then
I think
go
they're just going to reroute slightly.
reroute the trail.
Yeah, right.
But they're going to keep that existing bridge that they currently have over Turtle Creek.
So it's all up to you to get us grants.
Yes, sir. Okay?
Thanks, Paul.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks a lot, Paul.
So those are the 6 resolutions. Council, any questions on the other resolutions? We went through them real quick. Any questions before we move on? Seeing none, move over to ordinances. Mr. Ratcher, please.
We have 2 tonight. The first is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville repealing ordinance number 2541 and adopting new comprehensive stormwater management provisions for the Municipality of Monroeville pursuant to the Stormwater Management Act, 32 PS Section 680.1. This is an ordinance that's been on the table. It's presently on the table. Staff was reviewing it.
You're going to have to give me one more month.
Okay, very good.
So we're gonna
Is that a
table
promise?
this.
Yes, please.
Next ordinance is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville amending ordinance number 848, regulating parking on East Patty Lane. And on the last page of the agenda in yellow, there is a map that depicts exactly where parking will and will not be permitted.
Any questions, council? Very good. We'll move over to our reports of municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Little.
Okay, I have a few items here. The first one is, as most of the council, if not all of council, knows, the Conventions Visitors Bureau donated a van to our Senior Citizen Center, and not just for our Senior Citizen Center, if it may be used for other things in the municipality, but the vast majority of time it'll be for the Senior Citizen Center. And a couple councilmen have come to me and say, well, we should do something for the Conventions Visitors Bureau, and they do purchase gasoline off of us, approximately $1,000 per year that they purchase off of us. And if it would be okay with council, we would kind of absorb that cost for a couple, 3 years. And I will have that in writing to Sean Logan, head of the Conventions Visitors Bureau, that we will do that. Is council okay with that?
Council?
I'm good.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody's okay with, for 2 years, 3 years? I mean,
Three.
they spend, JJ, they spend, we were talking, they spend
Well,
$12,000.
I was there when Sean looked at it, and in 2018, they spent, round numbers, $2,200. That's what they spent.
Josie and I were looking.
I know, that's
that
what you
Josie and I
said.
talked about.
We looked at the invoices. I'm not sure where his numbers are coming
I
from.
don't know, that's just what he showed, I don't know the
Yeah.
answer.
Well, I'd be glad to look further
Yeah,
into
that's
it.
just what he told me. I figured it was around $2,000 a year.
Okay,
Well, then give it to him for 2 years.
all right, okay.
If you can maybe get an average for like the past 3 years, just so we have an idea,
Can do that.
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's,
Okay, all right,
I think it's
All
a
right.
good, nice gesture.
yeah. Okay, second item is just a reminder that summer employees, college students, applications are due April the 22nd. Next one, number 3, is an FYI. Also, PennDOT will begin mill and overlay work on Route 22 from the Turnpike interchange to Westmoreland County line to Murraysville. That project is going to take approximately 15 to 16 months, and they will be completing both sides. So all motorists should be aware of that. There's going to be restrictions on lanes, I'm sure. The fourth one is, last Wednesday night, we had our second implementation meeting with members for the comprehensive plan that we did with Wilkins Township and Churchill Borough. And there's 6 categories of the implementation that are in the comprehensive plan. And 2 of them that we have selected, and this goes back to last year, are strategic communication and connectivity with respect to traveling in the municipality, having multimodal traveling in the municipality, more so with bicycle and pedestrian. And from that, we broke into different groups, And we had a strategic communication group, and we had a pedestrian and bicycle group, and we're going to meet again in the latter part of May. But from that, Rebecca Bradley, who's the manager for Wilkins Township, she and I talked before the meeting with Donna Perry, who's the manager for Churchill Borough. And as most of the council members know, there's an intern program through the local government academy. I have had them in other municipalities, and you go and you interview either down at the University of Pittsburgh or Carnegie Mellon University or Carlisle University, and there's tables set up, and you just have a multitude of interns for different categories of finance, zoning, or whatever the case might be. And we have decided to bring to our respective elected bodies that we would like to get an intern, which would be for a very nominal cost, $2,400 split 3 ways, for a strategic communication intern to develop ways that the 3 municipalities can communicate together internally and externally about what we're doing together to create a synergy what this comprehensive plan is supposed to do. So that is, if council is in agreement with that, I can tell Rebecca and Donna that this elected body is okay with that. And the intern would be housed here for a while. We have enough space here with cubicles in the municipality, and then it would be at Wilkins Township maybe another week, and then it would be at Churchill Borough. And one of the items that was talked about was maybe getting there's a lot of, not websites, but
Social media platform?
yeah, a media application. There's one called Savvy Citizen, there's another one called Neighborhood, that you use as a municipality and that all 3 municipalities could use in order to communicate with one another better. Nick, you were there. You have anything to add to it?
No, just I think actually we had the animal control officer here, and some of the points he brought up, some of the events that they have, fundraising, things of that nature, a way to have like a community calendar, if you would, of all the different events that are going on, things of that nature. There are certainly, Monroeville has a recreation department, some of these other communities don't, so there might be some citizens from Wilkins and Churchill that, maybe for us to be able to advertise some of our programs that we have here, and that maybe they could do with a non-resident fee, things of that nature, but a way to kind of tie what's available in the 3 communities. So for $800, that's what you're looking for, is a blessing for $800 for the intern, correct, Mr. Little?
Correct. Yeah, and I wanted council to be aware of it. I mean, what we were doing here with the comprehensive plan and also with getting an intern with Wilkins and Churchill. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, okay, number 5, and the last one is ESCNR is the company out of Evans City, Pennsylvania, up in Butler County, as everybody knows, that collects recycling materials, electronic, hazardous waste down at the Public Works Building. In fact, I think it was a couple Saturdays ago that they had an event down there. But they also have a program where they will come to the door in a municipality. They're doing this with the city of Pittsburgh right now. And they have to get a minimum of about 40 respondents on the website, and they will come to the resident's door to collect hazardous waste and electronic waste, and they will weigh it just like they do down at the Public Works Building. So what we would have is a link on our website. They would also have it on their website, and they would register. And then about approximately once a month, they would come to Monroeville, and they would go to maybe 40 different households over a day or two, and they would collect their hazardous waste and their electronic waste. And I just wanted to bring that up to council. I talked to the mayor about it, and it seems like kind of a good program. They would pay for it. It doesn't cost the municipality anything. The council should be aware of that. Any questions on that?
I think it's a good idea.
So it gives people an option.
Yeah.
Well, especially people that can't get out and about
Right,
or don't have the means of a truck to take, say, a heavy piece of equipment. I think that could work out really well for the residents.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, and that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hugus, anything this evening?
No, sir.
And we'll move over to our reports of council members. Mrs. Gatos, anything this evening?
I would like to reiterate to summer employees, please, please, please get your applications in. The program works very well. It's helpful to everybody on both sides, and highly recommend it. And lastly, I want to wish the best to Mr. Wilson, who's not here tonight, as he had some surgery on an ankle that he injured. And I, of course, want to send my best wishes to Mr. Wilson. That's it for tonight.
Very good. And yes, along those lines, Mrs. Gatos, yes, that the employment application, it's on the Monroeville website. If you go onto the Monroeville website, under Government, and you click on Employment, and then there's a application you can print out. These jobs would be seasonal. Now, we use the same application for all of our job postings, so for a college student not to be overwhelmed by the actual job the applications themselves, but you would click off seasonal and get that turned in. So thank you for mentioning that, Mrs. Gatos. Mr. Poach.
Best wishes to Tom. Hope he's feeling well. And nothing else at this time.
Very good. Mr. Harvey.
I called Tom today. He seems to be doing well, except for having to get around on his little scooter because he can't walk on that fracture. And my daughter's informed me my new grandchild's going to be a boy soon.
All right. Congratulations. Anything else, Mr. Harvey?
That's all.
We'll end on a high note there. Mr. Johns.
Yeah, a couple things going on at the convention center. March the 9th, food truck Palooza. Westpac's Job Fair will be there on March the 13th. Direct Sales Expo, Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th. Pittsburgh Arts and Crafts Spring Fever Festival, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, March 22nd through the 24th. Camp Coins and More, Friday, March 22nd through Sunday the 24th. The Perk Education Job Fair, Wednesday, March 27th. Showbiz National Talent Competition, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 29th through the 31st. And the Mind Body Healing Expo, March 30th and 31st. That's what's going on at the convention center. And I got one quick question for Mr. Little. On the summer help, and you mentioned intern, it made me think. When we have these meetings for the parade committee, 4th of July fireworks, yada, yada, so on and so forth, the majority of everybody is volunteers. And we had, Mr. Estock, myself, and whomever have had a couple discussions about attempting to get more involvement with some of the high school bands, marching bands, so on and so forth. It's a real struggle. People can't seem to find the time to do it, can't get the right connections. And I was hoping that if one of these people you usually have in the office or in somewhere might be able to spend a little time somewhere picking up the phone and trying to help us recruit some more marching bands.
You mean the different high schools and stuff?
Yes, sort of things like that, yeah.
There, I'd be happy to do
I've been
that.
reaching out all over. I hope she's not watching.
She's watching. She has a heads up on it.
Oops.
No,
Sorry.
I can't wait to see that.
I think Mr. Little's phone just started melting.
That's all I have.
Sorry about that, Dara.
Yeah, she's watching because your phone just melted.
Oh, she just hung.
But it's always a great parade, and the more involvement we can get, especially with the kids in the community and the surrounding communities, that'd be great. So I think Derek can handle that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. John?
That's it, sir.
Very good. I just want to announce we have our 24th Annual Cleanup Day coming up Saturday, April 27th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Select a roadway, park, or neighborhood and wage your own war on litter. You register now by submitting a registration form to the Monroeville Recreation Department. You can call the main line to get to them, or you can stop up here at the municipal building during regular hours. Groups, families, and individuals are welcome to attend. All participants receive a free T-shirt. I'm sorry, limited to the first 250, but there's...
We'll give everybody a T-shirt.
Everyone gets a
Make sure
T-shirt.
everybody
You come in
gets a
clean, you're going to get a free T-shirt. And there's definitely a picnic afterwards with a lot of prizes, raffle prizes, a lunch. It's always a great event, so please sign up. The deadline to sign up is Monday, April 22nd. We'll keep reminding you about this, but that is Saturday, April 27th. And get out and let's clean up Monroeville. Wish Tom Wilson the best. Hopefully he's feeling better, Tom. I'm sure he's watching. And hope you feel better, and we'll see you soon. And that's all I have for this evening. I would like to seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you and good night.